Hey everyone, welcome to the I Heart Podcast. My name is Jonathan North, and this month, I Heart Christmas. Last year I had Rachel and Amber of the Hallmarkies Podcast on my YouTube channel to make a few videos about some of their favorite Hallmark Christmas movies. Those videos formed the basis for what became a bonus episode here earlier this week, so if you missed out on that one, make sure to check it out. So even though Hallmark movies weren't really my thing, we had a lot of fun talking about them, so I thought it would be fun to have them back this year. Now, for those of you who may not know, I'm currently working on an internship for Rachel. I actually worked it out through my school to get Rachel as my internship supervisor, which basically means I'm the part-time editor for both her personal channel as well as the Hallmarkies Podcast. So since I do a lot of editing for her show, I know that there have been quite a few new hosts joining Rachel and Amber lately, and I thought, why not ask Rachel if she and one of the new hosts would like to do another Christmas in July episode? Rachel liked that idea, and she got one of their newest hosts, Caroline, to join us. Like we did last year, I asked the Hallmarkies to choose 3 films for us to talk about. Rachel chose Love at the Thanksgiving Day Parade, which I kind of wondered about. After all, it does seem to focus on the wrong holiday for Christmas in July. But the parade is used narratively as a countdown to the Christmas season, and a big plot point revolves around an actor to play Santa in the parade, so I guess it does fit. Then Caroline chose 2 films, Crown for Christmas and A Shoe Addict's Christmas, which, while it does sound cheesy, I was actually kind of looking forward to the most since it stars Candace Cameron Bure, who many of you may know as DJ on Full House and now Fuller House as well. I just thought it'd be fun to see her in something different since I'm so used to just seeing her as DJ. So, I guess that's all you need to know going in. Let's get on with this episode of the I Heart Podcast with Rachel and Caroline of the Hallmarkies Podcast. Okay, so I guess we could do a quick intro for Rachel. Hopefully people know who Rachel is, but for those who don't, maybe a brief reminder.
Yeah, so I am a Rotten Tomatoes approved critic. I run Rachel's Reviews, which is a blog/YouTube channel. And then I also am a host of the Hallmarkies Podcast, one of the founders. And we talk all things Hallmark movies, particularly Christmas. And we cover the shows as well. One Calls the Heart. And all that. It's really fun. Okay.
And then brand new to the show is Caroline. Do you want to do an intro to yourself?
Yeah, I'm Caroline. I'm a huge Hallmark fan. I'm a member of the Hallmarkies Podcast too. And I just love the feel-good Hallmark movies.
Okay. How long have you been a host at the Hallmarkies Podcast?
Since...
when was it?
April?
It was something like that. Yeah, April or May.
Okay.
But she had been on our podcast a couple times before that we made her official.
Okay. Yeah, I was familiar with Rachel and Amber. We did this, of course, last year. And then since I edit for the Hallmarkies, I was familiar with some of the other ones. And I think I'd only edited one with Caroline, so I wasn't quite as familiar with you, and that was just one just recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to get to know another member of the Hallmarkies Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of times she's on the television ones, and those are the ones I usually do the night of because they have a quick turnaround. So that's probably why.
Okay. So I guess to start out with, I think we'll go in order of my least favorite to most favorites. I don't mean that in that I didn't like some of them, because I think I liked all of these even better than the ones that you chose last year.
Interesting. Okay.
So, surprisingly, my least favorite, which I thought was going to be my favorite, was A Shoe Addict's Christmas.
Okay.
And I thought that one was going to be my favorite just because I like Candace Cameron Bure. Like, I grew up on Full House, so I was excited to see her in something else. And it was fine, but I think I like the other 2 better.
Okay.
So this one, I think, was one of your choices, Caroline.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it's about and why you chose it?
Yeah, it starred Candace Cameron Bure and Luke McFarlane, and she plays Noelle, and she works in this department store, and she doesn't really like Christmas, I guess you can say, and she gets snowed in, and then she meets Jean Smart's character, and then she gets these magic shoes. She gets to see parts of her future and like past and everything, and try to see what life changes would happen as she made those decisions. And then she meets Luke, who's a firefighter, and the ending is really sweet, and they get together. They're married, I think. Mm-hmm. Luke and Candace's character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this movie works in a lot of ways. I first of all, I actually really enjoyed the book. It's a book by Beth Harbison. She does all the Shoe Addicts books. And I thought the book was pretty funny. And I think they did a pretty good job of translating that humor over to the script. And I think that particularly Jean Smart, playing the guardian angel character, was very funny, and she just leaned into it and really enjoyed her performance. And I like the message of it, the idea of she looks back in her life and every chance that she could have taken a risk, she didn't take that risk. And here she's been given kind of a chance, to a wake-up call to say, here, this big risk of becoming they love photographers in Hallmark movies. Becoming a photographer is a favorite. Becoming a photographer and and marrying Luke McFarlane, not that would take much motivation for most of us, but but that big risk that she kind of realizes that through the course of the film that she should take that leap of faith and not just be she's taken the job that just kind of satisfies her. There's no risk in it. She hasn't taken any risk with her family, with her dating. And I think that's a pretty nice message. So I like that about it.
So you said it was based on a series of books. Are the books?
The books are anthologies. I mean, similar to most romance novels. Most romance novels share themes, but each one kind of stands alone as its own little story. But yeah, there's a couple. I'm not sure how many Shoe Addicts books there are, but you don't have to have read. They stand alone. They're kind of like an anthology.
But are they about Candace Cameron Bure's character?
No.
All of them?
No. Each one is its own, and each one doesn't necessarily have a guardian angel type. I haven't read all of them, but I've read 2 of them. And anyway, each one is different. And that's what romance novels do, is you'll have the Fool's Gold series, and that's just a whole bunch of romances all set in Fool's Gold. They don't have anything in common with each other except for the fact, or they'll have like a baseball team, and each entry is all about different players and their romance on the baseball team, but you don't have to have read. They all kind of stand alone. Or they'll be like the Midnight Cowboy series, and it's all about cowboys on the same ranch or something like that. So yeah, that's. But so yeah, this is the Christmas one, and it kind of goes magical. It's fun.
So the other ones are not magical books.
I've only read the first one, and no, it's not magical. It's just about a girl who likes shoes.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, that's romance novels for you. And the book is spicier. The Hallmark guys.
Toned it down.
Yeah. So
So
what is it about this one that stood out to you, Caroline?
I love the faith element of it. Like, even though it was subtle, it was there, and I liked that. Mm-hmm. And who doesn't love Candace Cameron Bure and Luke McFarlane? Like, all his movies have been some of my favorites. So he's definitely a Hallmark hunk. And Jean Smart was wonderful, and I just love the story. And it's Christmas time.
Yeah, I did like it. It ended up feeling almost like not quite a Christmas Carol version, because when I first started watching, I was like, wait a minute, should I be saving this one for December? Because in December I do like all these different versions of a Christmas Carol. And then I quickly realized, no, this isn't quite a Christmas Carol version. It's just, it has similar elements to it.
Yeah, you'd almost call it like an homage almost, maybe.
Maybe.
It has some of those same elements a little bit, but yeah, it is different. The message is different. And there's only one spirit.
She wasn't like a Scrooge. She was just kind of worn out
Settled.
instead of like angry about Christmas. She was just kind of
Mhm.
slightly indifferent, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, she just kind of settled for the easy in her
Mhm.
life, which is easy to do.
Yeah, I did like all the characters. I liked Jean Smart. I'm not completely familiar with her, but I'm pretty sure that she might have voiced the mom on Kim Possible. She sounded very familiar. She must do some animated voices because I know I
She
recognize her voice.
she's an incredible actress. She has done so much variety in her career. It's pretty amazing. She has done everything from she was amazing as the vice president's wife on 24. One of the
Mm.
highlights of the whole show, as 2-season run as this really damaged woman. She was so good. But then she also has been in comedies. She was on Samantha Who. She was on Designing Women back in the day.
I remember Samantha Who. That was a while ago.
Yeah,
I almost forgot about her.
she had a memorable run on Frasier as this as one of Frasier's girlfriends who had this son, this teenage son that he hated.
Oh,
That
yeah, I
was
remember
pretty
that.
funny.
Yeah.
And she's just done everything. You're right. She is the voice. She is the voice on Kim Possible. She's been in Fargo. She's amazing, incredible. Like just the diversity of her career.
Yeah, I was just going to say she has a very wide range of roles.
Yeah, she's on Legion currently.
Oh, that's another show that it's on my list that I need to watch.
Mhm.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. So yeah, she's pretty amazing. I love her. She plays Reese Witherspoon's mom in Sweet Home Alabama.
Okay.
Favorite for me. She's amazing. She's definitely a get for Hallmark in this movie, I think.
Yeah, I liked the cast, but only her and Candace Cameron Bure were ones I recognized. I didn't recognize the love interest. The father kind of looked familiar, but nothing jumped out at me that I could remember him from.
Yeah, Luke McFarlane, he is a popular Hallmark hunk. And it is kind of interesting because he's a gay man, which is kind of cool because there's a lot of people who believe, oh, if you're gay, you can't play heteronormative, I guess they call it, whatever, I don't know, romances, be a convincing male lead, but he does a great job.
I will say he does it well.
Yeah, there's no awkwardness at all.
No.
So I think that's really cool.
He was Juilliard trained. I remember, I remember hearing that. So,
yeah, he was, I guess, well known for playing a role on Brothers and Sisters, the show. That's how he kind of got discovered. But yeah, he's so charming, I think.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also found it kind of amusing that he was a firefighter, and I remember last year, I think Amber might have said something about people or Hallmark male leads being firefighters in the movies.
Chefs or firefighters, unless they need to be redeemed, and then they're evil man of business who get redeemed.
Or lawyer.
Lawyer.
Well, I think that's all my thoughts on that one. Does anybody else have any final thoughts before we move on to the next one?
I think this one is pretty well made. I mean, there's definitely some kind of silly parts about it, but I think because it's got that fantasy element, it helps you ignore some of those not the best parts of it. But that
could be true, because I noticed like last year it was hard for me to get over some of the cheesy elements, but I didn't have that much trouble this year, and I didn't know if it was because of the ones you chose or if because maybe I was just getting used to them.
We're wearing you down. This is great.
But nothing really stood out to me as like super bothersome that completely took me out of the movie.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad.
So then the next one we have is, I think it's called Love at the Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Correct.
And this one was your choice, Rachel. So do you want to tell us
Yes.
some about this one and why you chose it?
Yeah. So this stars Autumn Reeser, who I love, and I think she's so charming. And she plays this girl who is in charge of running the Chicago Thanksgiving Day Parade. And she's in this long-term relationship with this seafarer guy, but she's afraid of getting on a boat. And so their relationship has been interesting. And she is kind of waiting for him to propose. But she's really cute. She loves like vintage clothing and she, because it makes her think of her mother. And she just loves putting on this parade. And then all of a sudden, in walks Antonio Cupo as the guy whose job is to reduce the budget. He's a bad man of business. And so the two, of course, hate each other at first, but as they keep working on the parade and various shenanigans, and there's definitely some things in this movie you would never see now, like the fact that she gets completely sloshed when in the movie. You would never see that on a leading lady now, and they get locked on the roof. That scene was pretty swoon worthy and overnight. She ends up getting engaged to Mr. Boat, and so of course the tension just keeps rising. He thinks, oh, she's not interested because she's just gotten engaged to this other guy. And I also like Allie Liebert as her best friend. She's really cute. I don't know. I really enjoy it. It's directed by Ron Oliver, and I think he's one of the better of the Hallmark directors. And we were talking about this today in our little texting group, that sort of the era between 2011 to 2013, I would say, was like, I think, peak Hallmark Christmas, where they were taking a little more risk. They were a little bit more kind of fun. And so I think this is sort of peak Hallmark. And I love Antonio Cupo and Autumn Reeser. I think they have great chemistry in this. So that's my little spiel on it.
Yeah, I really liked the leads. When it first started and she was talking to the guy on the computer, my first thought was, is that Seth Rogen? and then I realized it wasn't.
It does kind of look like Seth Rogen.
When he was on the computer. Then when you hear him talk, and it's obvious it's
yeah.
This guy, he seemed really nice, but I was also thinking that since she's with him at the beginning, she's going to have to break up with him because this is Hallmark. Plus, he's not like hot, so the Hallmark guy has to be hot. It always seems like. So I figured he was doomed.
Well, you can't have a relationship with a man who's a boatman and have a like crippling fear of getting on boats. Like, that relationship's probably not going to work.
I also had like a random thought, was like, so this guy is an oceanographer. Why can't, and maybe they have, and I just don't know about it, why can't the Hallmark people make movies about guys with weird jobs? Like you said they have the chefs and the firefighters. Why can't they have like a leading man who's an oceanographer and have like a whole movie set at sea? I think that would be
cool. It would be cool. I'm trying to think what's the weirdest job a guy has had. I don't know. Like, they did one in Africa last year where the guy was like a ranger kind of guy. And that's probably as close as you've gotten to a marine person, marine biologist or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Later on in the movie, you find out that he's kind of a bad guy. And the first time I watched it, I was like, this really seemed to come out of nowhere. And then I wanted to rewatch the beginning for something else. I don't remember what it was. But I watched their scene again on the computer, and then I was like picking up some subtle vibes from him that I totally missed the first time. So it didn't really come out of nowhere. She was just kind of blind to it. which I kind of appreciated because I was kind of annoyed the first time I watched it. Was like, how is he just going to have this complete total change of attitude? But I don't think it was. I think that she was just kind of, I don't know if she was purposely or unconsciously turning a blind eye to it, but the scene did not play out the same way when I watched it the second time.
Which scene are you talking about again?
Their first scene when they're talking on the computer.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's just some subtle ways about the way he was phrasing things. I could tell watching it the second time that he wasn't actually as nice as he seemed. But the first time I watched it, he seemed really nice.
Yeah. That makes sense. He's just kind of clueless. I think he just is not listening to her at all. And he just kind of he's gotten so used to her that he's just kind of taken her for granted, I think, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the scene later where she meets the other guy. And when I first saw him, I was like, well, this is going to be the guy that she's going to end up going for. But then I was also confused because you had said last year that if you're in big business, you're not going to be the romantic lead. I was like, well, this guy is like, he's tearing down an old mom and pop bookstore. So why does he get to be the romantic lead?
Because he's redeemed. He's redeemed by the end. But this is also 2012. So
yeah. He seemed like a Hallmark villain instead of the Hallmark romantic lead.
But I love her that they took the time to give her like some definite personality, like in her clothes, because sometimes they skip those steps in Hallmark, you know. She's just so cute.
I love all the outfits.
Yeah.
And her love of books and stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked her. They were good together, but she was probably one of my favorite characters of the three movies that we watched.
She was good. Yeah, I agree.
She has the cutest little personality. Autumn does. She makes it fun to watch all her movies.
Yeah. And this one's also unusual because you have people in the city that are actually, usually you go to the city and become corrupted and then have to go back to your hometown and be redeemed, recovered. And the fact that
they both grew up in the city.
Yeah, there was people. And so I always joke that you can only be a good person in the city in a Hallmark movie if you are running a parade.
There you go.
or designing windows. One or the other. Those are the only two options. Maybe a few chefs, but not many. Usually they still have to be reformed at their hometown. Or meet a prince.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this one, Caroline?
I love this one. I remember watching it several years ago, and it was just really cute. I love the vintage clothes, and I love that she loves Chicago. And the scene when she's talking to the children about Santa was really cute. And I love the chemistry between her and Antonio. And I just really loved it, and I watch it every time it's on. I love older Hallmark movies and stuff where they propose at the end after like barely like knowing each other. Like they don't propose anymore. Yeah, and it makes me sad.
That's true. It's a very good point. Yeah,
but I love the ending. It was cute with the Santa.
Oh yeah, when the parade was first, like when you first get the idea that there's going to be a problem with the Santa, I was like, well, I know who's going to end up being the Santa. It turned out I was right.
Yeah.
But it's really cute. I really like it.
Yeah. It's definitely one of my favorites for sure. I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it. That makes me happy.
Yeah, it was good. So then the last one we have is Crown for Christmas. And this one was another one that you chose, Caroline. Do you want to tell us a bit about it and why you chose it?
It stars Danica McKellar, and she was a maid, but she was raising her two younger siblings after both of their parents died, and the king was in the city, and she was cleaning his room, and he left something, and they bump into each other, and the cutest meet cute about the sewing kit, and then she gets fired, and then she gets hired to be the king's daughter's governess, and she goes to the European country, can't remember the name of it, and Princess Theodora, and she is a little bit of a menace at first, but it's because she doesn't really know Danica's character, and I just love this movie. They finally connect, Theodora, and then she connects with the king, and they all live happily ever after in the European country.
Yeah, Hallmark does a lot of these princess movies, and in my opinion, this is still the best of all the ones that they've done. I love Rupert Penry Jones. He is so dreamy in this movie. And I think that him and Danica have really nice chemistry. And just the ending when he's like on that horse, forget it. It's great. So I don't know. I like this one. I think the little girl's pretty cute, and sometimes they can be not cute. And so that helps a lot. Danica's she's so great at playing sincere and sweet. And that's her sort of like, she's just about to well up into tears any minute. Like, that's her wheelhouse, man. She's great at that.
Yeah. And, you feel for her in those moments. Yeah.
You do. You really do. I've just seen so many of these princess movies, and I just think this one gets it all right. It's got all the elements of Cinderella that you basically go on, I think.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this one. I think I had less trouble accepting that all the Hallmark movies have some bit of cheese, which sometimes is a stumbling block. But this one, I think it was because it already felt like a fairy tale that I was able to suspend my disbelief so much easier than other ones that I've seen.
That makes sense.
I think that's probably what helped me like this one so much. Plus, I really liked Danica McKellar. The main thing I know her from is she's the voice of Miss Martian on Young Justice. If you've ever seen that show, it's about, I guess they're not teenagers anymore, but it's when it started, they were teenagers. Yeah. And she's just so great. She has, her voice is just so nice, sweet. Like, she's perfect for the Miss Martian character, and she did such a good job with this. So I really liked her. I didn't recognize the guy that played the king. I thought I recognized some of the background staff, but it was probably all like from bit parts from things I've seen years ago. But she was the main one that I recognized. But I was glad that it seemed like that they got like actual British people for the cast.
Yeah.
Especially for the little girl, because I was really afraid that they were going to get a little girl who wasn't British and have her put on an accent. Because I've seen that happen in other things, and some kids just do not do good accents. So I was glad that they got like a real British little girl to play this key role in the movie. And she did a great job.
She's so cute. She had a sweet little personality too.
I think really my only, I don't know if you want to say gripe or whatever with the movie, was I wanted more with the siblings. It just seemed like they were kind of forgotten about halfway through the movie. She like calls home, she talks to the sister once, and then that's kind of it. I was kind of hoping that there was going to be like a wedding or something at the end, and then the siblings would come to the country where she moved to.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can agree with that.
I was hoping that Max would have sent for the siblings to come spend Christmas with them because she was missing them. I was hoping that would happen.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea too. I wanted some closure with the siblings, and I never got it. I was kind of wondering if maybe they were going to make a sequel and maybe we'd see more of them then. I don't know. How old is this one? Is this one
2016?
2015.
2015.
So
maybe, I don't know.
Particularly the last year with the royal wedding, it was especially royal crazy. There were so many. There was practically a whole month of just princess movies the whole month.
Wasn't there like a Netflix movie that was like trying to be a Hallmark movie about a princess?
Yeah, that one is
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
I think I got this one confused with that one when you suggested this one, because I was thinking that there were two movies, and then I couldn't find that there was a sequel to this one. And I think I was thinking of the Netflix one, because isn't there a sequel to the next Netflix one? Or like they're making one?
I know what you're talking about. I thought you were talking about a different one. There was actually one called The Christmas Prince, which
I think that's what I thought.
yeah, that's the one you're talking about. But and then there was a sequel to The Christmas Prince last year, which was terrible. But then there was another one called The Princess Switch on Netflix that was actually pretty decent.
I like that one.
Yeah, that's that one.
Isn't there a Disney Channel movie called A Princess Switch?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does sound familiar.
With Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
And what was the other girl's name? But I remember watching that movie.
It's been a while, but I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure I remember one called that. I wonder if it's a similar story.
I remember seeing that now. You mention it. So I think there were six royal movies last year. Which is still a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a lot. So
Interesting. It seems like Hallmark gets into like, I don't know, a groove. Like they pick out a genre and then they make a whole bunch of it.
yep.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. So yeah, that's why we get pretty excited when there is one that's kind of nuts and different, and every once in a while they'll throw one in there that's just kind of weird.
Yeah, I would be interested to see one that was like completely different than any of the ones I've seen before. Like I really want, like if Hallmark ever gets into like a science fiction craze and makes it fiction ones, I want to watch those.
Well, we could watch the one where Candace Cameron Bure goes back and goes forward in time.
Oh,
That's probably as close as we get.
Is that a Christmas one or just a regular?
It's a Christmas
one.
Journey
Make a note
back.
of that one for next year, maybe.
Okay, sounds good.
But yeah, I wish Hallmark would do something like really out there, and then I would be like totally on board. I would be wanting to watch anything really weird. They all seem to follow a formula, and I feel like it's kind of boring to me. But if they make good ones, I'm interested in seeing anything good they have.
Yeah, they make good ones and bad ones. There's a mixture.
Yeah, I've gathered that from some things that I've seen. There was one recently, I don't know what it was called, but you seemed very disappointed on Twitter.
Which one was I particularly disappointed? I can't. Yeah, some of them are kind of letdowns because
the hype.
Oh well, it was the Christmas camp, which was the Christmas in July pick for this year. Personally, not my favorite. I just felt like all they did was just sit around at this camp. They didn't do anything, and I felt like the one of the couples that's at the camp, they're having all this marital conflict, and then she finds out she's pregnant, and it's like, oh yay, we're so happy, and I'm like,
yeah.
That's not the way things should work. Like babies do not solve marital conflict.
No.
They only enhance
Add
it.
to it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's probably what you're referring to. But anyway, even the bad ones are kind of fun to talk about because they're just
so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one recently with dogs that you were upset about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one was terrible too.
I just remember seeing you tweeting something about a dog.
Yeah, that one was really, really bad. Like, if you have an illegal business, like, don't host an event at City Hall.
Yeah.
That's a good rule of thumb.
And this is something that the protagonist did?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was played like a good thing?
Yeah, like, how dare they try to close down... Yeah. How dare they try to close down her business, and like the neighbor is upset because she has this illegal business and he's presented as this like huge Grinch, and I'm like, no, he's right. she shouldn't be running this illegal business out of her house. Like,
She had like 10 puppies in her house without having a permit.
she's like, I have to have a permit. I'm like,
I've seen some bad news stories on situations like that.
I know.
It doesn't seem like something you need to make a good movie about.
I know. I was so not digging it. I mean, that's the thing I'm proud about us with the Hallmarkies podcast is we love these movies, but we're also honest about the movies. Yeah, but I think we do it all in a fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not a fluffy podcast, but we also aren't mean about it. I don't know. We get that. I feel like we do a really good job, or we try very hard to find that balance.
Just being authentic, like saying
Yeah.
what you actually feel.
Exactly.
Which is important.
Right. And we have a pretty wide variety of co-hosts that have different interests and tastes, which I think helps a lot as well.
Mhm. I love hearing the different takes.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess we kind of got off on a rabbit trail. We haven't found for Christmas.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just really Rupert Penry Jones is a big reason I like this movie. But if people like him, it plays Captain Wentworth on the most recent PBS version of Persuasion, and he is with Sally Hawkins, who's the best, and it's great if you like Jane Austen. It's really good.
Yeah, I like this one probably because it kind of leaned into a little bit more fantasy.
Yeah.
And I like fish out of water stories, and I like Cinderella stories, and this seemed to mesh the two together pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed that about it. And I liked the main character. I thought that he was nice and likable, and I just enjoyed watching her journey, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one the best of the three.
Cool. Great. Oh, we're wearing you down. I love it. All that editing is it's just wearing you down.
I don't know, because a lot of times if I'm editing, I don't really have any context for what I'm hearing things about.
Yeah.
I do enjoy the ones where I'm editing and you're talking to the stars, though, because I like hearing about what they're doing and like the different things behind the process of making them. That's me.
I like doing the interviews a lot as well, even because even if somebody's in a movie that I don't particularly care for, I can say, was that fun to make? What was that experience like? And you can hear about it. It's great.
Yeah.
Was it fun playing with 10 puppies?
Yeah, that's right.
While pregnant.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Well, before we go, do either of you want to do like my Q&A? Like I have a Q&A that I do with new guests.
Yeah, why don't we have Caroline do it since I've just sort of done it. That'd be fun.
Okay.
Sure.
So first thing, I always have people tell me a little bit about yourself, and you can say whatever you want, like what you do for a job, if you have any pets or hobbies, anything like that you want to tell people about.
I have 2 dogs, Millie and Sadie, a cat named Grady, and I have 5 chickens.
Okay.
And I'm a therapist for children with autism, and I am actually a triplet. And yeah, that's about me.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So besides your work with the Hallmarkies, do you do anything else online? Any other YouTube stuff?
No, I just do Hallmark stuff.
So how did you get into doing the Hallmark stuff?
Well, I love live tweeting during the Hallmark movies, and I started following the Hallmarkies podcast, and then it just kind of went from there.
Okay. So do you have a favorite Hallmark movie?
This is a tough question. For 2019, it's Love to the Rescue with Nikki DeLoach and Michael Rady.
Good dog movie.
It's really sweet.
It was really good.
And this next question is one that I have trouble myself answering, but do you have a favorite movie overall?
Let me think. Well, from my childhood, it would probably be the Lion King.
Okay.
Good one.
Have you seen the new Lion King?
I have not. I'm trying. I'm trying to get feedback from everybody, from like my friends and stuff before I go see it, because like I don't want to. Like I love I love the animation Lion King, and I haven't been a real big fan of the live action remakes. So.
Well, I always say that even if the new one is bad, you always have the original. They can't remove the original from existence. So
That's true.
Even if it's bad, you still have the original.
That's true. I probably will end up go seeing it, but I'm just waiting to see what everybody.
I'd say wait until the discount theater.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it. But I did not love it. It was just fine, and that's kind of disappointing to have it just be fine, because it looked like it was going to be amazing, and it wasn't. So for whatever that's worth. So do you have, I know you do the Hallmark thing with the TV shows, do you have a favorite TV show? And that can be either Hallmark or non-Hallmark.
Non-Hallmark, I love The Good Place.
Oh,
and
me too.
It's so good. And Hallmark is When Calls the Heart.
Okay. Do you have a favorite book or book series?
I love Nicholas Sparks' book. That's probably why I love Hallmark. And right now, I am reading a biography about George H.W. Bush. So I love political stuff and romance. So
Okay.
wide variety.
Have they ever done a Hallmark movie about a president?
I don't think so.
I feel like they have, but I can't think of any.
That'd be good, though.
I guess presidents aren't quite as glamorous as royalty.
Yeah.
Fake princes, yeah.
Yeah. I was really mad last year because they had what's his name? Oh, shoot,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
They had the guy who played President Palmer on 24. And in the book of the story, the role is supposed to be the president. And I'm like, and then they made him not the president, and she made her not working for the president. I'm like, you had President Palmer there in your cast. you had it all, and you failed. I was so mad. Anyway, sorry.
So you already answered favorite Disney movie, but do you have a favorite Pixar movie? Some people don't think of them as anything different, but I think they're different enough that I feel like it warrants 2 questions.
Up.
Okay.
Oh, yay, me too.
It makes me cry every time.
Oh, it's so good.
And then do you have a favorite Disney character? And that could be like a princess or a prince or somebody who's totally not one of those movies.
I love Belle, and just like when I was a little girl, I just wanted to be Belle when I was a grown up, just because I love her.
And then the last 2 questions. This one you can interpret it differently than a movie, but I have favorite cartoon growing up, and so that can be like a TV show. It doesn't have to necessarily be a movie.
Rugrats.
I liked that when I was a kid too. We didn't have cable, but I would watch that when I went to visit my grandparents' house.
I like that one, and Hey Arnold.
Okay. I didn't really watch that one as much, but I remember Rugrats very distinctly.
Because I have 2 brothers, so I had to watch, like, we shared a TV and stuff, so we had to watch shows that all 3 of us liked, so we all liked Rugrats and Hey Arnold. So.
Okay. And then my last question is the first movie you remember seeing in the theater.
The first one I remember seeing was Tarzan.
Okay.
That's like vividly remember. I probably saw more, but that was the first one I really remember seeing.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, you guys. This was fun. I enjoyed watching these movies and talking about them.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'll probably do this again next year. So if you have more recommendations, maybe there'll be more that come out this year that you think I'll like. We can figure out another selection to watch and talk about.
They're making 40 Christmas movies. There have to be 3 that you like.
Oh,
Let's hope.
I don't know how you guys can manage to get through that many movies. Like I had trouble getting through 3 in just 2 days. Like I don't watch that many movies. Like I watch maybe 2 movies in the theater a month, and that's about all the movies I watch.
Yeah. Yeah, there were times last year when I would watch 6 or more on a Saturday. Just which is probably unfair to movie number 6, but there were times when I would just be like hating life. These movies are terrible, and then oh my gosh, this is incredible! I love this movie so much. So yeah, sometimes it can actually maybe help a movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Christmas Perfection, it was that way. It was like, oh no, and then it was brilliant, my favorite.
I keep hearing you reference that one. That one, there should be another one we should watch sometime.
It's so funny.
It is.
I think.
Is that the one where people get shrunk down into a toy town?
Yeah, into Irish Christmas Village.
Okay.
Yeah, she experiences the same Christmas over and over and over and over again. And I love it. I think it's so funny.
That one does
cute.
sound interesting. That should go on the list too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not Hallmark, but it's really good.
It's not Hallmark?
No, it's
Mm-mm.
Lifetime.
Okay.
Another Lifetime one you should watch is Christmas Pen Pals.
Yes.
Oh, that was so good.
So good.
So good.
It was, Caroline knows me well. That's my second favorite.
Okay, well, I think that's about all I've got.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for suggesting these movies. It was fun. Do you guys want to give us your info where we can find you online?
Yeah, you can find us at the Hallmarkies Podcast all over social media and on iTunes and YouTube. So make sure to give us a listen. You'll enjoy it. And we do interviews and recaps and preview shows. We just have a lot of fun.
And do you want to give out your personal ones? Like,
Yes.
if you want to follow you specifically?
Yes. So you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes and YouTube. I do weekly family movie nights picks every single week. And so that's a lot of fun. And I cover all the animated films, or I try to at least, of the year.
Okay. Caroline?
And you can follow me on Twitter at MitaCarolineR.
Okay, well, thanks for joining me.
Thanks again. Merry Christmas in July.
Bye.
Merry Christmas in July. Thanks again to Rachel and Caroline for joining me. I'll have links to their socials as well as the Hallmarkies podcast in the description below. Next week will be the final episode of this year's Christmas in July, and it's a good one. My cousin Sarah will be joining me once more, and we're going to be talking about a movie that's kind of perfect for the Christmas in July season. I think Meet Me in St. Louis seems like equal parts Christmas and July, or at the very least it's equally Christmas and summer, so I thought it'd be the perfect way to cap off the series for the year. Sarah and I had a great conversation, and I'm excited to share it with you, so make sure to come back next week for this year's final episode of Christmas in July on the iHeart Podcast.